So far this season, Manchester United have been one of the worst teams in the Premier League when it comes to putting the ball into the back of the opposition's net. The stats really don't look very good, with only 2 teams scoring less goals than United so far this season. As a result, a lot of people are pointing fingers at Erik Ten Hag, saying that he has no attacking idea, no attacking principles, and importantly, no attacking patterns. But I don't necessarily believe that that is true. I think Erik Ten Hag has quite a clear attacking idea, and certainly a pattern which he wants to use on a regular basis. Therefore, the problem in my opinion is that the pattern is wrong, and is a pattern which doesn't get our players into their best positions, and therefore creates no goal scoring chances for Rasmus Hojlund.
So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFIFA.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFIFA for 10% off when you order.
The question here, I guess, is what do I believe is Erik Ten Hag's idea of the ideal attack for United this season? In my opinion, it looks something like this. A central midfielder picking up the ball and quickly looking to get the ball to the wing as quickly as possible. This can be to the right hand side, but more commonly to the left hand side, either to Marcus Rashford or to Alejandro Garnacho. From here, the winger is tasked with being aggressive and front-footed in the duel, not looking to, recycle possession, play the ball backwards, but instead looking to pick the ball up and drive at the fullback 9 times out of 10. The plan being that this player will then be able to get to the byline and put the ball into the box for someone to attack. And we've got an example of this. It's demonstrated nicely here. Scott McTominay plays the ball to Marcus Rashford, and the first idea for Rashford is, can I be nice and aggressive looking to take on the fullback? And this whole idea of the winger being super aggressive once they've got the ball at their feet in the duel looking to take players on is actually backed up with Garnacho's FB ref report from the past 365 days. We can see that he is attempting a lot of take-ons. This is actually even the case when there's 2, maybe 3 defenders in these situations trying to track the winger, but still, regardless of this, the plan remains the same. Can the winger be super aggressive, get the ball into the final third, and then eventually put a cross into the penalty area to attack? From here, the pattern in the middle can change, but largely the idea is that Rasmus Hojlund attacks the box towards the goalkeeper, dragging centre-backs with him, and therefore you can see a box crasher like Scott McTominay pushing into the penalty area, or someone arriving late to put the ball into the back of the net. In my opinion, that is the ideal Erik Ten Hag attack. And of course, at times it works. United have very good players in the final third, a lot of individual quality, and as a result, you do score goals playing in this way. But in my opinion, this is not a sustainable brand of football, particularly in a creative sense. The question is why, so we need to go back to the tactical board. The first issue I have here is that it means Bruno Fernandes is simply playing far too deep. Bruno Fernandes is a player which wants to be in the opposition's final third looking to create chances, not sitting deep in these positions and quickly passing the ball to the winger. I don't really think this suits any of our central midfielders, and it's reflected in the fact that our midfielders often have low percentage of pass completion because they get the ball and force it forward too quickly. They aren't given the chance to settle in possession, take a good touch, assess the situation and then play a ball forward. They are quickly asked to ping the ball forward. So this is one of the main issues in my opinion with this current structure. The knock-on effect of this is that United therefore don't progress the ball through the middle of the pitch. And someone like Bruno Fernandes just doesn't get the ball in creative areas, reflected in his pass map into the final third against Tottenham the other week. We can see that he didn't attempt a single pass in that zone 14 area into the final third of the pitch. That's a real problem. In my opinion, Bruno Fernandes is one of the best players at playing these passes. The current structure simply doesn't let him do that, because 1, he starts too deep, but also secondly, United almost have no intention of getting the ball into this area. As a result, United instead tend to send the ball wide, as we've already discussed, to the wingers who are tasked with beating their man. And this is where we have the next problem. The problem being, it is very unlikely that your winger is going to be able to dribble past a fullback on a regular basis, particularly in the Premier League, where we have some of the most physical, but also technically gifted fullbacks in the world. These players are very good defensively, they're very difficult to beat, they're very physical, they're very strong. Someone like Kyle Walker, for example, they win a lot of their defensive duels, making it really difficult, of course, for the United wingers to actually regularly beat their man and then put crosses into the box for the striker to attack. So part of the problem with this is that United simply don't have the profile of winger to do this. Someone like Anthony on the right-hand side, for example, isn't someone who wants to go down the line constantly and put balls into the box. Instead, he wants to come inside onto his left foot. And it's the same with Marcus Rashford. I think he is capable of dribbling down the line. I like that side of his game. But more naturally, he wants to move inside onto his right foot and be more of a goal scorer. And I've said this recently, United have shoot-first wingers. Their first thought isn't to create, it's actually to attack the goal themselves. So therefore, asking them to be these wingers which hold the width and constantly take on fullbacks on a regular basis, again, it doesn't really work, and we can see in terms of dribble percentage success this season, the United wingers just don't do it very well. Of course, the next problem here is that even when the wingers do it well, they do beat their man, they do get into the final third, chances still are not created for Rasmus Hojlund. First of all, because he isn't a natural in terms of his heading ability. I think he could grow into this and develop in this area, but right now he is not elite in this department. But the bigger issue actually is that the United players look to attack these wide positions, and as we've said already, Hojlund's main job actually is to attack the box, draw players with him, and make space for others to attack. We've seen Scott McTominay and Bruno Fernandes this season scoring goals, Casemiro as well, but Rasmus Hojlund doesn't get to score the goals himself because he is basically tasked with making room for others. £80 million is a lot to spend on a player who is just making room for other people. It doesn't make sense, and these are some of the key problems with Erik Ten Hag's current tactical approach in the final third. It isn't sustainable. Rasmus Hojlund is a player which wants to play on the shoulder of the last man and race in behind the defence. It's what he done so well for Atalanta last season. United have the perfect player to play that sort of pass. Bruno Fernandes. In zone 14, we've seen it in the past in his career. In these areas, he is simply unbelievable. But he just isn't asked to do that this season. Therefore, Rasmus Hojlund gets no chances, United have no real central progression, all of the progression comes in the wide areas, and then asking your wingers to be reliable with 1 versus 1 duels and crosses into the box simply isn't sustainable. Like I've said a couple of times already, when you play in this way, you will see good moments. Someone like Marcus Rashford is extremely talented. He will beat his man, he will get to the byline, and he will put a good cross into the box. We've also seen Garnacho get a couple of assists in this way as well. The problem I have is in terms of if you want to reliably create a lot of chances in a game of football, simply relying on your wingers to again win the 1 versus 1 situation, it just seems incredibly unlikely in a league as strong as the Premier League. It just doesn't happen. For me, something has to change. There's a couple of solutions. One solution is to ask the team simply to play much slower. We don't need to completely change the personnel in the side, we need to change their attacking intent. So, when we win the ball back in midfield, we don't have to immediately send the ball forward to the attackers. Like I've said already, United's pass success rate in midfield is incredibly low this season because they play the ball forward so quickly. If United just slowed down a little bit, they would keep the ball a lot more. One of the benefits of this would be that Bruno Fernandes could play a little bit higher. He wouldn't need to drop deep all the time and ping these passes forward. He could get in this central area higher up the pitch where he can create. This more settled approach would also allow United to progress the ball through the pitch, and patterns could be worked on in this area, keeping the ball in centralised positions, where actually Rasmus Hojlund could really flourish in the final third, with Bruno Fernandes supplying him with plenty of chances. Another option could be for Marcus Rashford to play a slightly narrower position at times, or certainly, if not starting narrower, given the chance to drift inside with the ball, like he done so well last season where we saw all of those shots from central positions and he was absolutely unbelievable with his finishing. Now, one thing I should make clear is that by no means do I think this Manchester United squad in terms of personnel is perfect. However, what I do believe is that Erik Ten Hag could get a much better attacking song from them if he simply asked them to play different roles and his attacking intentions changed. There has to be much more focus on progressing the ball through the middle of the pitch. That is where you hurt teams the most. And then supplement your attack with the use of wide players. That can be fullbacks bombing forward. It can be your wingers going in 1 versus 1 situations. But there has to be much less reliance on pure individual brilliance in the final third. That is one of the things which Erik Ten Hag really has to address in the second half of the season. Will it happen? I'm not too sure. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, while you're there, leave a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel and let me know some other content you would like to see. Apart from that though, we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.